I'm going to draw that on here. I'll forget it.
See whether, I'm sure you're into this, they released the date of Top Gun 2 coming out.
Oh, I thought it was coming out before.
It's
I guess
coming
it
out
got
twice.
delayed.
Yeah, it's been coming out twice.
So,
I watched the old one the other night about 11:30. I didn't realize, I think it came out like 86, 87.
it did come out in 86.
That was I think that's one of the first movies I ever watched.
See, I used to have, when I was stationed at Moody Air Force Base, my flying call sign was Maverick. And it was several years before Top Gun came out.
That's pretty neat.
So when I went to the movie and I saw that the lead character was Maverick Mitchell, I was like,
It's a sign. Yeah. It's a
"This is a
sign.
movie about me."
Yeah. That's funny.
Well, see, we had a list of call signs you could choose from the FAA. And I had a crappy one to begin with, and I wanted the Maverick. The guy who had it left, the PCS got a change of assignment, and I snatched it up.
So it doesn't stay with you for all the time. And
No, because wherever you're assigned, you had to get this approved list, and it's just so that they could know who you were when you were flying
Yeah.
around. So if you screwed up, everybody
everybody knew. Yeah.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. So I'd like to ask Councilman Rustin to lead us in the invocation.
Sure, let us pray. Dear God, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here tonight, God. Thank you for the rain and the sunshine and, Lord, this change of seasons. Lord, we appreciate that. God, we thank you so much just to be able to together as a group and tonight and discuss the great things that are happening in the city. Lord, we thank you so much for the people that protect our city and just make it go on a day-to-day basis. Lord, I ask you, God, just to continue to show your favor over the city of Columbiana. Lord, and we appreciate your grace and thank you for your mercy. God, I ask you to be with the meeting tonight. Let it be for the benefit of the city, everything that's discussed. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you'll stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Lilly.
Here.
Mizell.
Here.
Rustin.
Here.
Here. Phillips.
Here.
And
Here. Okay. We do have a quorum. Everybody's present. So I'll just let you guys take a look at the agenda tonight. We're going to swap something around. We've got Jody Talley, who's a candidate for district court judge, who asked to speak to the council. She has another commitment, so we are actually going to move her up right before these department head reports. Everything else on the agenda should stay the same. Okay, so the first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. That's the approval of the minutes from the March 15th regular council meeting, as well as the approval of the minutes from the March 29th council work session. Council members have been provided a copy of those minutes. Should all have read them. So are there any corrections or additions to those minutes? If not, let the record show that the minutes are approved by unanimous consent. So, without further ado, Jody, you've got the floor.
I didn't expect to get that quick up here.
Oh,
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Well, I'll stand here. I think most of you already know me. I'm Jody Talley. I've lived in Columbiana all of my life, save for the 9 months before Dad was out of the military and came back to the States. So, been in Columbiana. That's been my home, and I think you all know how much I love this town and what it means to me. I, of course, went to Shelby County High School. Most of y'all know that. My husband went to Shelby County High School. We're happy, proud graduates of the school. Both of my older children are in Shelby County High School right now. One's a senior, one's a freshman. Hopefully they'll get through it. They're working on Eagle Scout projects and all that kind of fun stuff right now. And then we have the surprise 5-year-old. And he, one day, God willing, will be at Shelby County High School as well, if we get him there anyway. But I have always lived, obviously, in Shelby County in Columbiana. So I went from high school to University of Montevallo, where I got my bachelor's degree. Went after that to the University of Alabama Law School and got my law degree, passed the bar in 2000, have been an attorney ever since. I clerked, while I was at Alabama, I clerked for Judge Patty Smith. And any of y'all that have been around here for any length of time know Patty Smith. She's a legend in her own time. She was the juvenile court judge at that time. She actually originated that district court seat, and that is the place that I'm running for. Patty taught me a lot of things. She's probably one of the people that had the most impact on my career all the way around. She taught me to be fair. She taught me to be kind, but to be just. She also taught me a very good way of balancing home and work and church and all of the things that, that we have to do. She's a great example of that, and I appreciate her for that insight that she gave me. She left the bench, and Judge Kramer took that seat after her, and I had the privilege, after I got finished with law school, clerked for a year, and then came to work in the juvenile court, first under Judge Smith and then under Judge Kramer. I was the attorney for the children that came in a delinquency role, so I had to sort of help them find their way. And the mantra of the juvenile court is, we want to do what's in the best interest of the child. So whatever that child is in front of you, whether it be a delinquent matter, which means it would be a crime if it was an adult matter, or whether it's a dependency matter, which means they're there because of their parents not doing the right thing or not taking care of them adequately. So whatever reason they're there for, our job is to do what's in their best interest. And the way we do that is to coordinate all of the county's resources that we have to focus on these kids. Because I've found, I'm a prosecutor now. I work in the DA's office, and I prosecute personal crimes, which means anything from murders, child abuse, anything where there's an actual personal victim that is physically harmed. Those are the things that I prosecute right now. And even with those crimes, domestic violence, all of those things, what I have learned is that the key to resolving those, the key to stopping those, is going to be education. It is punishment. Believe me, I have no problem punishing someone who has broken the law. I have no problem with that at all, and do it on a daily basis. But the key to keeping it from happening again is education. We've got to educate kids on how to act, because some of their parents aren't doing a great job of that. And if their parents aren't going to do it, we've got to pick up the slack. We've got a lot of programs in Shelby County dedicated to that, and I think some are a little underutilized and need to be utilized a little bit better. But also the parents of the kids that, they may not know how to do the things they're supposed to do. Things that you and I have learned and know from our parents and our grandparents. They didn't get that opportunity, and they need that opportunity. So they have to be educated. You can't expect somebody to balance a budget if they don't know how to do it. But if you teach them how to do it, then we're getting somewhere. So the goal is to put me out of a job, right? And so education is the way that happens, and getting those instruments that we have at our disposal to work together is the way that we're going to achieve that. So my goal as juvenile court judge would be to do whatever is in the best interest of the child, to make them a more productive citizen, to make them understand their worth, but also to understand everyone else's worth and the worth of their city and their county and their nation, have pride in that, and find the things that they can do and they're good at, and encourage them in that, so that they can come from whatever has brought them before the court and change and make a better place for themselves, but also for everybody else as well. So when you vote on May 24th, I would very much appreciate you considering voting for me for a district court place 1. Thanks.
Okay. Do me a favor, stand over there by the flags and kind of turn so all these people here, good people here, can see and hear you as well. And we'll open it up to some questions from them, but I'd like to start, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So we have elections for both district court and circuit court.
We do.
And so I have a two-part question.
Okay.
Explain to everybody the difference between the district court and the circuit court.
Okay.
And is this district only juvenile court?
Both very good questions, and I get asked those a lot. So, yes, so the easiest answer to that question is that district court is the lower court. Okay, so district court is going to handle, like on the civil side, they'll handle small claims. They'll handle the misdemeanors and the traffic court kind of things if you were looking at adult court. So it's the smaller court. The circuit court is where if you have committed a crime, it initially goes to district court, but then it will go to the grand jury and then go to circuit court. So the circuit court is the bigger court. It's going to be at your actual trial court that's going to have a jury. So a district court doesn't have a jury. A circuit court would have a jury trying the cases. So it's just the bigger cases are held in circuit court. We're an unusual district because our district and our circuit are all contained in our county. Some places you'll have like a district court in this city, a district court in this city, and a district court in this city, but the circuit court will contain all of those. So it's the more overreaching and encompassing. The second question was if this was specifically juvenile court. And the answer is it depends. That's my good legal answer. You know, that's what all our law professors
Typical
tell
lawyer.
us to say. That's right. That's right. But in all honesty, it has traditionally been a juvenile court seat. And so what our presiding judge has said, because the presiding judge actually gets to decide what is going to be ruled over by each individual court. So he could reassign, you know, all the civil cases to this judge here. He could assign all the criminal cases to this judge, however he sees fit. But I know that Judge Bostic is a very wise judge, and he will 100% put people in the courts that they are best suited for. So he has definitely said that he would, if he changes any sort of caseload, that it will be whatever that judge is particularly gifted at. And I think he's a good judge of that as well.
Yeah. From the council.
So if I heard you right, the district court is decided by the judge, the sentence, right?
I'm saying,
The
sorry.
sentencing in district court is decided by the judge, not
The
a jury.
sentencing, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So if you had like a misdemeanor, that's something that would be punishable to up to a year in jail. I'm talking about the criminal side because that's, of course, what I know better. But it would be the judge that would listen to it and decide guilty or innocent.
Okay.
Anybody, anybody in the audience have questions for Jody? All right, well, thank you all very much.
Thank you
very
for
much. I
coming.
appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank
Okay,
you.
you bet. Okay. So the next item on the agenda is department head reports. Do we have anybody here from the fire department? Okay, I guess I'll try to read this. It's all green, so everything's all good. The typical issues and concerns that Johnny has up there is staffing, but that's been improving. He's brought on some new folks, and he indicates that up there in the top part. And facility is we have looked at the potential of a second fire station, and we've actually got some preliminary plans for that. But going over there to his highlights and opportunities, two things. ISO requirements changed, and we did very well in our last ISO audit. And so consequently, the urgency for those facilities has been pushed down the road. And part of that is being driven by, we need to make sure that we, based upon housing developments and expansions, that we find the right location for this new facility when we do build it. So that is about all with the fire department. Any questions or comments there? Okay. Library.
So would that be, another volunteer fire department?
It would be.
And are there enough people willing to volunteer in order to?
Well, that's been a
support
problem, which is why we have put staffing historically up there as an issue. But recently, we've been able to hire some folks and train them to help us deal with staffing turnover. And we also have a grant that we have applied for that is actually focused on training and recruiting for the fire department. So hopefully we'll get the resources for that. Library, Sheila.
Everything's pretty much the same, except that, Mary Young, she's retired at the end of this month. And, I need a full-time, so looking for another full-time in May.
Okay. So how do you work with your recruiting and hiring for the library? Do you typically work through the city and posting for the job and that sort of thing, or is this done?
Not usually, but we have.
Okay. Well, maybe you two guys ought to get together and talk about that as far as how we should post for this. You guys got any questions for the library?
How long has Mary been with the library, Sheila?
10 years.
Okay.
Well, that'll
And
be
she's
it.
still gonna work on, Tuesdays and Fridays.
Mm.
But, she won't be working.
She's been coming there a long time, though. She loves library, for sure. She used to be my neighbor. On the Motor Road,
Okay.
So it's Mary Young.
Mary Young.
Okay, so instead of Marion the librarian, it's Mary Young the librarian. All right, any other questions for the library? Okay. Environmental services.
Hadn't a whole lot changed on the summary. We'll give a staffing update and a report here shortly. We'll start our training this month and next month. So over on issues and concerns, I'm going to discuss the amount of water discharge that we're discharging at the treatment plant. I left everybody a copy and okay with you guys. So the first column goes from January to December, gives you the monthly average flows that we discharge at the wastewater plant. The annual average is 677,000 gallons. So that's 0.677 MGD. The plant design is 944,000 gallons. 90% of the design is 849,000 gallons. So the plant design's currently 944, 90% is 8.49. The new subdivisions on Highway 70 will bring another 140,000 gallons per day. ADM works off our yearly average, and our average last year was 677 million gallons. When we add the subdivisions, the annual average will go up to 817,000 gallons. So
Is that
that's
on
what we're
here?
working off of.
Is that on here?
No, I've got that.
Okay. All right.
So we're getting pretty close to our design. So I know we applied for the money to upgrade the plant. We'll know about that in June or July. So before a whole lot of new subdivisions come to take on, 200 or 300 homes, we're gonna have to upgrade the treatment plant. So we gotta leave room for people that's got private property to build a home here or there, or if a business comes in, or industrial park area. So I think the subdivisions we have on Highway 70, is gonna put us pretty close to where we need to level out for a little while. That's my opinion. We fall under the state regulations.
So, but your number, what'd you say, 817,000?
Yes.
Is that when those subdivisions are fully developed?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
So we got a little
gives us-
time to plan for it.
Right, so that's why I'm bringing this to your attention now, so we have time to plan the treatment plant upgrades before we're dead in the water. So if anybody don't have any more questions about that, I'll move on to the staffing part.
But that encompasses both of those subdivision and development.
Yes, I
Okay.
know, that, Springs Crossing, the one that's, Saddlewood Trails, and the new one that's gonna be proposed, all in that area. So, yeah, 728 homes roughly.
You said the new one's going to be proposed. What is that one?
One that's coming to you guys next council meeting for the annexation and rezoning.
Yeah, we've already pre-zoned it, So now we've got to do the annexation. And then he'll still have to get his plans approved, so.
So on our operator certification, the new regulations were supposed to go into effect January 2023. So they pushed that back till June 2023. The new regulations will require the collection system to have its own certified operator 1C. And the treatment plant will have to have a grade 2 operator 5 days per week at its current classification. If someone's out sick or on vacation, there's currently no other operators to fill those requirements. So following under the plant upgrades, when we do upgrade the treatment plant 4 or 5 years from now, if we want to continue to grow our city, the treatment plant will have to be upgraded, and anything from 1 million gallons to 5 million gallons per day will be classified as a grade 3 treatment facility. The plant will then be required to have a grade 3 operator on site 8 hours a day, 5 days per week, and a grade 2 or higher on weekends. The plant will have to be staffed 7 days per week, 8 hours per day on site.
Okay, sum that up as far as, so if the capacity of the plant is 1 million gallons per day or more, okay, is it based on plant capacity or actually the volume that is discharged?
What we're gonna discharge, so we're getting pretty close to the 1 million gallon mark.
Right.
So 1.5 million is gonna change our discharge limitations, and therefore it will change our classification to a grade 3 facility.
Okay. I'm still not sure I understand, so bear with me. You probably answered it correctly and I just didn't. So if we have a plant that has a larger capacity of more than 1 million gallons, is it based on the capacity of the plant or the actual amount of discharge? The staffing
capacity,
requirement.
So when we upgrade the capacity of the plant, even though we're not gonna discharge, say if we discharge 999,000, that doesn't matter. It's what the plant was designed to discharge.
Okay, summarize those numbers for me again, so I can write it down.
1 million to 5 million is a grade 3.
Okay, so, and that is, as far as the head count, the staffing.
So the head count, you'll have to have a grade 3 operator at the facility, 8 hours a day, 5 days per week. On the weekends, you'll have to have a grade 2 or higher. It could be a grade 3 or whatever. It's just gotta be a grade 2 or higher, 8 hours a day on the weekends. And you have to be inside the chain link fence 8 hours per day. So if you leave, you got a logbook, you have to sign out. So if you leave, say if I left and come to City Hall to handle paperwork, if I'm here 45 minutes or an hour, I've got to go back to the treatment plant and make that time of that after. So it's strictly enforced, 8 hours a day at the facility.
So we're close to that now.
Yes, we're getting close. We used to be a grade 3 a long time ago, but the plant wasn't designed for that, so me and the engineer recalculated. So probably the past 10, 12 years, we've been grade 2.
So what I just heard, you're thinking 10 years we'll have to go grade 3?
No, I'm saying, well, these subdivisions get finished on Highway 7, and another developer comes in and wants to put in another subdivision. We're going to have to upgrade the plant. When we upgrade that plant to handle that flow, we're going to build a plant big enough to handle 1 million to 2 million gallons of water because it's so costly. You can build the same plant whether you handle 5 million or 2 million for the same amount of money. We just don't need to go with 5 million because if you go to a grade 4, then you got to staff it 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Yeah. So here's also the way I understood it, and what I think is really even more important is our current design criteria is 944,000 gallons. We're at almost 700,000 gallons a day. So we're getting close to design criteria. And then what is the 90% of design criteria? Is that just, is that used for something?
You just don't ever want to go over your 90 when you get close to
So
your
for
90
planning
mark.
purposes, 90 is kind of your buffer.
Right.
Okay. All right. So the point is there, and I think that Dale, at least the way I'm interpreting is we need to think about expanding our sewage treatment capabilities. And so, and we have some significant maintenance that we are planning and needing to do. And because of this, we have applied for a grant that will allow us to do both, increase capacity and deal with maintenance. And that's what Dale was talking about in June, July. Hopefully we'll hear from that. Now, did I understand that we have been in communication with ADECA and they've been asking questions, or is it ADEM, one or the other, about our grant application? And
Yes,
Okay.
so,
so is that something we should consider potential positive, that they're really paying attention to it and that it's
it is positive. Corley has helped us out a little bit on that also, and he's been in contact with them. So they received our application, they looked over our application, it's in their hands, but they received probably $200 million worth of applications.
well, we don't want that much. We just want 4.
Yeah, we just want more. But anyway, it's a good possibility, but nothing's guaranteed.
Oh, I understand that. I just was wondering if maybe they were asking questions because they said, "Oh, this looks like a serious application that we need to consider." And it was to try to get more information. I don't know. I'm maybe reading between the lines something that's not there.
And this is something I just wanted to bring to you guys' attention because, I mean, it takes years to do the permitting process, the upgrades, and we just don't need to be blindsided. Hey, we got to upgrade now.
Did I also understand you said that when we go to grade 3, you have to have somebody 8 hours, 7 days a week?
8 hours a day, grade 3 at the treatment facility, 5 days a week. The other 2 days, a grade 2 or higher, 8 hours.
Now that's the certification of the employee.
Yes.
Of
The facility would be considered a grade 3,
Grade 3.
but the bottom line is somebody does have to be there 7 days a week.
So right now, the only certifications there is me with a grade 3 and Chris with 1C, which he's gonna be able to collection, which he is over collection system supervisor. So basically, if something happened to me, if I was out sick or whatever, somebody's gotta fill that 8 hours a day with a grade 3 license. So you need 2 grade 3 operators, 2 grade 2 operators. So you can rotate your vacation, if somebody gets sick or whatever, and then you need 2 1C operators. Just so the city's not left hanging.
When you increase the capacity, do you just dig it deeper or you gotta go more area?
No, it'd be more area.
Okay.
Like, right now, we have 2 million-gallon ponds.
Yeah.
One pond's not in service. It's out of date. It was an old polishing pond. So when they did upgrades in 2003, that's when they took that out of service. But if we was to put that back in service and do some modifications, that's gonna go ahead and throw us into a grade 3 immediately.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for Dale? Appreciate that. That was informative. Community Affairs and Senior Services.
Alright, we have some, events coming up, and looking at those later. The Senior Center serves 1,150 meals in March, and in March we applied for the Shelby County Senior Grant. That's a grant opportunity that Shelby County does every year. It's a pretty standard thing, and it's $2,000, so. Main Street has been doing lots of work around town. They worked on flower beds and cleaned those out, and then last Saturday, they pressure washed in the alley. And this Saturday and the next Saturday, they plan to do some painting in the alleyway. So lots of work being done. With Main Street, they ordered 52 hanging baskets, and those will get hung up North and South Main Street and then on Millsbrook Park. So we are working with businesses, Main Street is, for facade grants. They've awarded 3 facade grants, Jill Carley's building, the Leader building, and also, I'm trying to think of who's the third. Oh, McElroy's building. He's gonna do, a mural on the backside of his building. So those 3 have been awarded, and we have 2 applications that are pending right now. We're working really hard, myself and Main Street together, to try to fill our vacant buildings on Main Street. And it is proving to be a little bit more complicated because there are lots of code problems when people want to move in. Several people have looked at some properties and they just can't afford to move in because of all the improvements that need to be made. So we're working on that and trying to find some solutions. Dale and Johnny and I have talked about walking through buildings with people so that they can get a better idea of what needs to be done before they commit to renting or buying a building. So that's all good stuff. But there are 2 particular buildings on North Main Street that Main Street would like for the city to move and deem unsafe. One has lots and lots of black mold, and the other has tons and tons of water damage. And so it's Main Street's recommendation that that you guys really seriously talk about deeming those unsafe.
Well, when we talk about unsafe, does that mean verbatim? That's the only way you can.
And I don't think you can put like any type of signage or
No,
anything
no.
on the building until we've gone through that process.
No, you're right.
And where are we with that? Have we made any progress since the phone call that we had with the lawyer some time before? I know you guys have identified buildings and whatnot. What are the
and
next steps? for us?
Homes and other areas. There's a form that the attorney sent, it's like 4-page form, like you have to check every single thing that's wrong with the home or the property or whatever, that the city said deems that it's unsafe. So we've got to go through each of those properties, do the checklist for every single one. We will send those in to the attorney, and then they'll start sending out the letters to the property owners to see if they'll fix the property. If not, then it'll eventually come to us to do the abatement process.
So can we prioritize those and say, like these on Main Street, get them taken care of first, and then whatever we deem next?
Is that one building that I went in still unlocked? See, that's a concern to me.
Yeah.
There's one that's the back door still unlocked and anybody can wander through there.
Yeah. I understand.
Well, the other thing too, I think we've talked about these, I know for 9 years at least, that I think that, and I think when we've talked about these, obviously that's trickled down to the property owner. So I think once it gets to that point, I think we need to act swiftly and get it taken care of. I mean, you don't want to be 3 days down the road and we're still talking about it, and when it's been talked about for 6 or 7 years. So I'm with the mayor. Those 2 properties, I think I know which ones are. They need to be prioritized and just taken care of. But the other problem with that is those buildings are probably attached to other buildings too. So that's not going to be a cheap abatement. None of them are cheap, but still.
There are some students volunteering to paint, but the murals are not going up this weekend, it's just solid colors. So they'll do like the solid, and then the students will come back and do the murals.
Okay, any other questions for Community Affairs and Senior Services? All right, board reports. Before we talk about Park and Rec and Beautification Board appointments, are there any reports from board meetings that have occurred since our last council meeting?
We had a board meeting last night and
We being the Beautification Board.
yes, sorry. And we have, 2 projects that we are hoping to complete. One's gonna be before Liberty Day and the other one is gonna be, November, right? And we'll get you more information on that. However, we still have a vacant seat on the Beautification Board, and if anybody is interested or knows anybody that's interested, we are a working board, we're constantly doing something, and we want somebody that wants to participate and wants to work. So if you'll please let me or Lisa Davis or Susan know, yeah, we would love to have a man on that board too, by the way. We really would. But anyway, anyway.
Crawling under the desk.
She looking at me.
Yes, please let us know. If you want to. Especially those that like.
All right, so, any other board reports?
Park and Rec Board will meet next month again.
Okay. Okay, so if there aren't any other board reports, why don't we move on to the Beautification Board first as far as appointments? So,
We do not have an appointment. We're still waiting to see if anyone's interested.
okay, is it a council nominated position? Does anybody on the council have anyone that they're interested in?
Andre Bowie.
Okay.
And,
I've already talked to him.
Oh,
okay,
Mm-hmm.
so would you like to nominate Andrea?
Is that Edmund's wife?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
She's retired neighbor.
Okay.
That should be a good one.
Mhm.
So, we have a nomination for Andrea Bowie. Are there any other nominations?
Maybe you can pull Edmund in. There's your
There's
nail.
your man right there. Yeah. She can let me in. Make him help.
All right, so is there a motion to vote on the nomination?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of Andrea Bowie? All right, the record show it's unanimous, and we have filled your vacancy on the Beautification Board. Okay, so the next one is the Park and Recreation Board appointment. There's a vacancy. There's a vacancy coming up on the 22nd. Actually a term is expiring and it is up to the council to appoint someone to fulfill that term. And we have two nominations we discussed at our work session meeting. And one nomination is for Chuck Fant, and the other nomination is for Bobby Madison. So does the council have any other nominations for the Recreation Board? Okay, is there a motion to vote on those nominations?
I make a motion we accept both nominations.
Okay, so all in favor of Chuck Fant for the Recreation Board vacancy, signify by raising your hand, please.
I like them both.
Well, it doesn't mean we don't like the
I
people.
know, but I think they would both be good and beneficial.
Don't we have two vacancies?
We got
Just
one vacancy, but we could add another. I mean, I'm fine with adding both
So
of them.
the board is established by ordinance, so that would require us to pass an amendment to the ordinance, and that would be another process. But we could do that at a later date, as far as adding another position to the board.
We're taking ordinance to do that.
There is a board that established, an ordinance, that established a recreation board, and it specifies the number of members on the board and how they're appointed. So we would have to amend that ordinance to be able to expand it beyond the 5 people that are on there, which can be done. It's just that I don't think we should do that at this meeting.
Yeah, I thought it was 5 to 9. That's why I asked.
It can be there. In fact, I think for the Recreation Board, I don't believe that there's any number specified. I may be wrong.
Okay, I don't-
We can look into that.
So can you vote for one today and do the ordinance?
Yes, we could.
Yeah.
We absolutely could.
Let's do
Okay. So, so you recorded the vote for Chuck Fant, right? Or do we need to do that again? So, all in favor of Chuck Fant?
Well, I mean, only reason I mean, I want to eventually vote both of them, but I mean, only reason I'm voting Chuck at this point because he's been on the docket for whatever, and I mean, Bobby will be a formality next time, but I mean, we can do 2 of them the next time. It doesn't matter to me, but I'm going to approve both of them at some point.
Okay.
If that's the.
All right. So you had 2.
So Chuck was first then? Okay.
I don't know. I got.
Well, the reason I say because Chuck submitted a letter, and that's part of the process too. So I mean, but however we want to do it, it's fine with me. But
If we're gonna do it next time, we're both gonna be in.
yeah, we can do it the next council meeting because they won't meet again until May.
Well, next council meeting would be past the 22nd. We want to fill that position. So Actually be on the 22nd, which is the day it would have to be filled, so. No, it wouldn't be past the 22nd.
Actually, Ruth Sutton rolled up today. So the vacancy was today.
Really?
So we need to get on that.
It says on this letter, the 20th. No, you're right, it says the 5th. It says the year is 22. So, all right, so we will, so we've had the vote for Chuck Fan, right? So all in favor of Bobby Madison? Okay, so we had what, 3? 3 to 2. So Bobby Madison is going to fill the position that's available or that expired today, and we can address the other one. Is there a concern?
Well, it just doesn't make, I don't, in my simple mind, it doesn't make sense. I didn't know we had, I mean, the allotment's from 5 to 9 based on what the city document says. So I don't know. I didn't know we had to,
From 5 to 9, and how many's on board now?
they're 5.
Then why can't we have both?
I don't know.
The ordinance specifies 5.
Oh,
Okay,
I thought you said.
the law, I'm not sure if it's maxed out at 5, or excuse me, at 9, that allows you to create the recreation board. I thought it didn't specify a number, but maybe it does. But the bottom line, the ordinance, I do know, specifies 5. And so in order to go beyond 5, we do need to amend that ordinance. The state law says cities can create a recreation board by ordinance, which we've done, and we have a copy of that ordinance. So that's the reason.
Well, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Both of them are going to be approved. But I was of the expectation that, based on the letter that was submitted for inquiry, that Chuck would be our first one. But it doesn't matter.
Well, see, I am not aware of a process that requires a letter.
Okay.
Do you have a process that says there needs to
Well,
be a letter? It's
I
not
think that's
specified
on
in the
the-
ordinance either.
Okay. Well, we can move on.
It just simply says that the council appoints them.
Bottom line, both of them will be great additions.
Yeah.
I mean, they will.
Okay.
Well, that's not what I'm disagreeing with, but we can move on.
All right, so Bobby Madison was appointed to the position that's vacated as of today. Okay. All right, we've got some resolutions on the agenda, and the first one has to do with, this is the Municipal Water Pollution Prevention Program. And a lot of words on this. Now, this is something that we do every year, water pollution prevention. I think I said it backwards, water prevention pollution, but it's water pollution prevention. And so, Dale, is there anything that you can add to this right here for us?
Basically, the report is all of our yearly lab data that we've done, our flows, the score of the treatment plants located in there, just basically how treatment plants operating. We got a good score, no corrective action is needed, and we just have to have a resolution detailing what we're gonna do in the future, and that's basically it.
Okay. And it basically, the resolution simply says that we've reviewed the report and that we're going to do these things, A, B, and C, that are in the resolution, using methods such as inspections and smoke testing, cleaning, root control, continued preventive maintenance. So therefore be it resolved that the City of Columbiana does adopt the above actions into its municipal water pollution prevention program. So is there a motion to approve this resolution?
I like that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and let's do a roll call because it requires does it require a unanimous vote? Or is that just wording that's on there?
I think it's just wording that's on there,
Okay.
because there's no money that's.
Well, let's go ahead and do the roll call since that's what it says.
Okay. Councilmember Lilly,
Yes.
Mazel,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Yes, Phillips.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes. Okay. So let the record show that the water pollution prevention program resolution's been passed. All right, so the next resolution on the agenda is to declare surplus property. This is something, again, that we do periodically where we have old vehicles and equipment that will be put up for auction. And so this resolution is that the city council is going to put those vehicles and equipment up for auction, and that the city clerk is authorized and directed to propose or to dispose of that city property. Is there a motion to consider this resolution?
I'll make a motion. Consider resolution 4/2203.
Second.
Okay, and we'll go ahead and do this roll call too, since we did the other one.
Councilmember Lily,
Yes.
Mizell,
Yes.
Rustin,
Yes.
King, Phillips,
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes. Okay, so let the record show that the resolution was passed unanimously. Okay, the Aldot paving project. This one's kind of complicated as far as the things that Aldot puts in it. The simple thing is they, from Calera city limits all the way into where Old 25 and Highway 25 come together at the animal clinic, is going to be milled and repaved. They are going to be soliciting bids in the next few months. As I understand from the area engineer, there may be some funding issues, and they don't know if they're even going to start this project this year. But they've got the plans, and the purpose of the resolution is that simply says that the city of Columbiana has reviewed the plans for the said project, and we do have a huge package of the plans, and that we're simply saying that the state of Alabama is authorized to proceed with the grading, draining, paving, and all the work that they need to do. And that basically the city of Columbiana is going to give the State Department of Transportation full use and access of all the rights of ways and roads and crossing intersections as required, and that that we would not adopt any ordinances, or we would adopt any ordinances that might be necessary for barricades being installed and permanent blocking of roads. But if you'll look at the very first item underneath that, this project does not require any permanent barricading or blockage of roads. This is a two-pager. So the other thing that the city is basically committing to do by this is that it's not going to permit any future encroachments onto the highway there. And it basically says if we want to change speed limits, put any street signs, traffic signals, or anything like that, we have to get the permission from the state of Alabama. Says we're going to maintain all the crossroads and the adjoining roads. We'll perform the maintenance of existing roads. Say, for example, if they were to be moving Highway 25 and left the old one and we wanted to take it over, we could either perform that maintenance, or we could just basically vacate that road, if you will. And so that's pretty much it. We're going to basically not get in the way of the state when they do this, and we're going to maintain the roads that are adjoining the repaving. So, can entertain a motion for adopting the resolution.
Second.
Okay,
I'll second.
and since we did roll calls on the other two, we'll do this one as well.
Councilmember Lily,
Yes.
Mizell,
Yes.
Rustin,
Yes.
King, Phillips,
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes. Okay. So a little bit of administrivia there, but it's things that have to be done. Any other business that we need to discuss?
Yeah, Charlene, can you make sure that Park and Rec deal is on the next agenda, please?
Anything else? Okay, the mayor's report. So, speaking of Aldot, I did meet with DeJarvis Leonard, who's the head of the East Central region for Aldot. We discussed the traffic light on Highway 25, speed limits on Highway 25 and 70, and we talked about potential highway improvements on 70. We also discussed what I just talked about as far as the improvements on 25. They are going to do the studies for us as far as the speed limits and the traffic light. I don't know when that'll be done, but I'll follow up on that. So I had a follow-up meeting 10 days later with the area engineer for Aldot. We talked about the same things, and so he's the one that assured me, and he's local here in Columbiana, lives in Columbiana anyway, and so we'll be following up with him to make sure that those traffic studies are done. We met on the 29th. He visited Columbiana, which is the director of the Economic Development Academy, which is a new program that's sponsored by the Alabama League of Municipalities. Columbiana has a team that is participating in that academy. So Neil Wade, who is the director, visited Columbiana. We talked about some of our economic development challenges and opportunities. We walked around town with Neil, and I think he was really complimentary of Columbiana, and so we have a lot to be proud of, and I think he's excited to see some good things come out of the projects that we present at the Academy. Tomorrow, there's a luncheon with U.S. Senate candidate Mike Durant. Mr. Durant had planned to spend the morning visiting Columbiana, and his schedule changed. He had to cancel that visit to Columbiana, so he will not be coming. He was going to visit the fire department, the police department, visit us here at City Hall. But hopefully I'll get a chance to talk to him at that luncheon tomorrow and tell him what all we expect him to do for the city of Columbiana should he be elected. Okay, and on the 7th, the dog show will be at the Shelby County Exhibition Center. We have people who come from all over the country for that dog show, and so if you have an opportunity to go out there, that's great. Those people come to town. We need to talk to them about all the great things that are going on in town, get them to spend some money here. There's the Chamber Luncheon on the 7th. I think that's here in Columbiana this time at the Old Mill Square. Sheriff Samaniego will give his annual report to the Chamber of Commerce. The Economic Development Academy class, the Columbiana team was scheduled to attend a class in Montgomery on the 28th. Most of our team had conflicts on that day, and so they're going to participate in a different class, a different group at Jefferson State Community College, and that's on the 8th, which is Friday. The regular class is on the 28th. I can't make the one on Friday, so I'm going to be going to the regular class date in Montgomery on the 28th. The 11th of April, Congressman Gary Palmer every quarter has a meeting with all of the mayors in his district, and he'll be providing that Washington update on the 11th. I'll go to that. It's always very interesting to me. I enjoy listening to him tell us what's going on in Washington and some of the things that he's trying to get done in Washington that are good for Alabama and good for our district. One of the things that many of you are aware of, we've talked about it, is we commissioned a study for stormwater drainage for the city of Columbiana. It started in February. They have up to 5 months to complete this thing, hopefully sooner. So I have a meeting with the engineers on the 11th of April to give us an update on how they're progressing with the stormwater drainage study. And then in May, the Alabama League of Municipalities will be having their annual convention. So any questions for me?
Will you be providing an update during the next city council meeting about that meeting?
About which meeting?
With the engineers.
The stormwater? Sure. We'll tell them what the progress is. Okay. Any other questions for me? Okay. Announcements.
All right, so now through Easter, you can explore Columbiana, so they're Main Street hiding eggs all around town, except for Sundays, so Monday through Saturday. And then on the 9th is the cleanup day, the 16th is another cleanup day in the back alley. April 21st is Touch a Truck, and May the 7th is Art on Main Street. So upcoming, every Friday night in June, we'll have music on Main Street. And then every Saturday this summer, we'll have the farmer's market in the overflow parking lot. And then Liberty Day is coming up in June, the 24th and 25th. So start to get busy.
Any questions? All right, there's, if there are no more questions for Ally on the announcements, there's one other item of business that we should have brought up. We discussed it at our council work session, and that was funding for the high school athletic project. And so what we discussed is, I believe that the project estimate is just under $27,000, if the quote that I saw recall is correct. I had done a little bit of looking at the current budget to see where we might have room for the contribution there. I gave that information out to, I think, all of the city council as far as where we could get the money from. And so I think we should probably have a discussion about how much and whether or not we want to approve that funding for this project. So, any suggestions or comments from the council? Recommendations? So, obviously, what we can do is we can fund the full amount, we can fund nothing, or something in between. So,
Well, I recommend that we do half of it.
half of the 27?
Yes.
Mhm. Okay. Any other
That's good.
comments or recommendations?
Yeah, I got a comment. Is there a reason we wouldn't do the 27? Is there a reason why we don't? I'm just asking.
For me, it would give a chance to give some to the other schools, like Columbiana Middle, Elvin Hill, and it would be 13.5. So that was my thought. Just spreading it.
Any others?
It was my, that was,
Well,
I think we kind of.
we also, in the analysis that I did, we didn't find the full $27,000 available in the budget, but we did find an area of the budget where there's some potential risk of, cost overrun. And so that would be one reason why we might not want to do the full amount. Or might not be able to do, might not be prudent to do the full amount. So, we could move and vote on, 13.5, or we can table it and have further discussion.
I'll make a motion. We accept the 13.5 and move on.
Okay. All in favor? Say aye. Okay, it's unanimous. So 13.5 for the high school athletic project. I apologize for skipping over that. I didn't open my book.
And just for record's sake, I'm going back and put that under discussion of other city business.
Right.
Minutes, so.
Okay, public comments, questions from anyone? Okay. All right, So if there are no other comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.